You have to stop trying to heal in the places that hurt you. I'm not saying that it's impossible because it is possible. I know some people that have healed in traumatic environments and came out stronger for it, but not everyone can do that. And I was one of those people that couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I wasn't able to do that because of the extreme amount of history that I have in this city, um, and the vast amount of people that I know. Doesn't matter where I go in this city. I live in Springfield, Missouri. It doesn't matter what side of town I'm at. I'm gonna see somebody that I know. Just how it is. I've been here too long. I have too much history. And for some that'd be okay. For I guess maybe for most people that would be okay. But for me it's not because most of my adult life here I have spent doing wrong and doing bad. And so that means that the people that I typically run into are bad people, right? Or not necessarily bad people, they're just not people that I want to be around anymore. Maybe they're strung out still. Maybe they're still robbing people. Maybe they're still, my point being, they're doing something that I don't want to do anymore. I don't want to have around me anymore, or my kids, or my family, or any of that, right? And so, for me personally, I had to move. I had to move states. I went to Oklahoma for about 2 or 3 years, and had to find myself again. And I did. I did to a point. I made a lot more progress there than I would have if I would have stayed. And I really do believe that's the truth of the matter. And sometimes that's what you got to do. Sometimes it's nothing else works. There's a something, we'll just call it environmental memory, right? Your environments that carry memories, triggers for you as a person. You can walk into a bar or a strip club and all of a sudden remember something that you didn't want to remember. Maybe it was something, some traumatic event, or a girl, or just, just whatever the case may be. A lot of people, when they come from a lifestyle that I have came from, they have PTSD, and so those environmental triggers are very real. They're very real for some people because it's just how that shit works. I don't know. I don't know the science behind it, but I know that I can walk into a room that I have not walked into for years, and my entire mood will change. My entire being would change. Anxious, I get irritated, I get nervous, or just whatever I might be feeling at that time, whatever that particular environment triggers in me. And it's hard to heal when you have them constant environmental triggers. And that's another thing that I had. I had environmental triggers. It wasn't just the people, it was the environment. Was so I mean, environmental triggers, people that you know that you just can't get away from them. And then when you try to change or get away from them, they start acting like you're the bad guy. And the reason is because your growth reminds them that they're stuck. 9 times out of 10, that's the case. Or they don't want to lose a companion in misery. It goes back to what I said in my video the other night. Misery loves company. And they'll try to make you miserable with them as much as they can, as often as they can. And they'll resent you if you don't want to be that way. If you don't want to be miserable with them, they will resent you. And they do. They resent me every day. I know they do. But I don't give a fuck. And neither can you. You cannot care. If you really want to heal, you cannot care. I told a homeboy this, man, and he thought I was just straight cold hearted. And I told him, well, yeah, maybe I am. But you got to suffer alone. Because if you can't suffer alone, then you're always going to be codependent on someone or something. Right? Me, nowhere near as much as I used to be, but I'm dependent upon weed, marijuana. One thing I haven't been able to kick yet. That and alcohol has been a really hard one, but your boy ain't drunk now, is he? Mm-mm-mm. I haven't even been drinking, man. I haven't really felt like it. I've been tired of falling off the wagon. I don't get shit done. I feel miserable. I wallow in my own pity and self regret and blah, 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 whatever the fuck you want to say. You know what I mean? And you can love people and still outgrow them. You can love people from a distance. That's possible. And sometimes it's necessary. Just because you moved neighborhoods or moved states or just moved away from the general environment that is keeping you where you're at and don't want to be no more doesn't mean you can't love those people still. Doesn't mean that you can't talk to those people still. If anything, bring those people with you. Do it. Because let me tell you this, from someone that used to be very much a butterfly, I guess. I just to everyone and knew everyone and just tried to be friends with everyone. Now I'm much more like a wallflower. I just stay on my wall and I observe everyone around me. But as someone that has been a butterfly, has talked and mingled and hung out and tried to be friends with hundreds, if not thousands, of people, very few of them. There's a saying that the amount of friends that you'll have in your lifetime, you can count them on your hand. And that's true. You can. You can count them on your freaking hand, man. You will have a lot of associates, a lot of accomplices, a lot of people that are just people that you know, but you have very few friends. So if you have those people and y'all are down at the bottom together scraping by, if you're the motherfucker that says, tired of this shit, let's do something different, it is 100% worth at least trying to bring those people with you. Because you're probably not going to find those people again. And if you do, it's going to take a very long time. It's going to take a very long time to find people that will suffer with you for a little bit. Because most, people got their own bullshit they got to deal with. They don't want to deal with your bullshit too. And that's fair. That's fair. It's fair not to want to deal with everybody's bullshit, especially when you got so much going on yourself. Everything's harder by yourself. When you're doing everything by yourself, everything is 100 times slower, 100 times harder, and you don't, you're not able to work the angles as much because you have less angles to work from. You don't have as many people telling you their angles. And so you got to sit with yourself for a lot more. So you got to sit with yourself and you got to think and try and figure out the angles by yourself. Because if you're not working angles in your life, you don't have more than one angle on your life, then you're behind, my friend. Always have a plan B, have a plan C, a plan D, a plan E, a plan F. Have the whole fucking alphabet if you can. Always have something to fall back on. Okay? Always. Always have something to fall back on. Always have people to fall back on. That's when, that's a really big one. You don't have to have people to fall back on. People make it without them. It's just nice. It's nice to have people to fall back on. Because otherwise, you're just having to be fucking Superman all the time. And even Superman gets fucking tired, man. I don't read no comics or nothing like that, but I'm sure there was probably a fucking comic or something out there where Superman was just like, well, I'm not going to be fucking Superman for the fucking day. I'm done being Superman today. Hell, I'll take a whole week off. No Superman. I feel like that was in one of the older movies or something. I don't quite remember. It's been so long. And I didn't even finish all of Smallville. So, yeah. But, everyone gets tired, man. Everyone. Even the motherfuckers that say, I don't get tired. Mr. Gates, he gets tired. Don't let him fool you. He's human. He's got to get tired, man. Well, let's get back on subject because I'm veering off. Distance is medicine, okay? And like I said, sometimes you don't have to move cities. You can just move your boundaries. You can move neighborhoods, okay? You can move neighborhoods away from your environment. And that can be enough sometimes because you may be one of those people that can set those boundaries and keep those boundaries where they need to be at and never let anybody overstep and never overstep yourself. You can be that person. It takes a lot of strength. You're probably going to fail a couple times, but it's possible. Man, I need to get an ashtray. Real. Over here. But you can be that person. You can be that person. Space, it gives you perspective. When you give yourself space from a toxic situation or a toxic person, you get a perspective on that situational or that person that you were not able to give yourself before because you're not stuck in it in the situation or the person no more. You're able to breathe, you know, and that's good. Breath is important. Everything, I swear, everything can be solved with just just breathe, motherfuckers. Just breathe. I have to tell myself that all the time. Just fucking breathe, man. Everything's gonna be all right. When you have that space and you're able to breathe, you realize how many of your problems were based on proximity and not personality. Probably gonna have to run that back a couple times. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe you get it off the bat. Proximity, not personality. Else. Really haven't even been following this script for real. I've just been talking. Um, they're not gonna they're not gonna understand why you left, and they never will. Some people are just NPCs. They're gonna be stuck in one role their entire life. That's what they were put on on this earth for, and that's fine. You want to be that person. Just know that anyone can be an NPC, and anybody can decide to stop being an NPC. First step is realization. Awareness is everything. Being honest with self. I've had some NPC phases, NPC stages in my life. I think everybody does, whether you want to admit it or not. Over here, I'll just put this down for now. But you don't owe them an explanation. You can try to explain it to them. Oh shit, badass. You can try to explain it to them. You can try. That doesn't mean that they're going to understand. Does it? Because a lot of times they don't want to understand. They don't want to. They want to be stuck in their own world, doing their own thing, the way they've been doing it for the past 5, 10 years, because it's working for them, they think, right? And nothing else matters. And if you're switching up things, well, shame on you. But like I said, man, you don't owe them an explanation. You owe yourself peace. That's what it is. You owe yourself peace, not an explanation. You don't owe yourself more pain, more hurt, more confusion, because that's all that is. When you're constantly questioning yourself and questioning your own motives and questioning the things that you do, it's just more confusion. And then when you have other people, other voices adding to all of that, it's even more confusion. It's horrible. It's like being a schizophrenic, having 100 different voices in your head. Which one what do you listen to? Which one is your own? Sometimes you forget. You forget which one is your own because there's so many. You don't owe them an explanation. You got to choose peace over pain. Comfort kills more dreams than failure ever will. Comfort zones are your enemy. They stagnate you. They keep you from growing. They keep you from truly healing because you're not facing anything. You may not be running from it, but you're not facing it. And that was one of my issues for a very long time. I was comfortable. I was comfortable selling drugs. I was comfortable hurting people. I was comfortable being high. I was comfortable drinking liquor every day by the gallon. I look back now, man, and fucking it's a wonder I'm even I'm alive for real. Drinking that much. I remember fuck, I don't remember what it was for, but anyways, it was living with my wife and her family, and they went and all got a whole bunch of liquor and shit, and there was Captain Morgan spiced rum, I think it was. And I drank that whole bottle to myself, and I was still fucking drunk almost 2 days later. It was ridiculous, you know. I spent almost a whole 48 hours drunk off my ass, and it was just a normal day, normal week. Fucking stupid. Oh man, freedom costs people. It costs people. Freedom costs people. Why? Well, because we're human. Sometimes that freedom is our comfort zone. The freedom to do it, whatever the fuck we want to do. Because we have free will, right? We have the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want to do. And for a lot of people, that's more of a curse than it is a blessing because they have no direction. They have no objective. There's no POA, plan of action. There's nothing for them. Just free will. And that's a heavy one. Some people weren't built for it. That's reality. Some people were born to be leaders. Some people were born to be followers. And there's nothing wrong with either one. But you got to know your role and you got to be able to stick with it. Because if you don't, it goes back to you being confused because of self doubt. You're doubting everything you do. Am I making the right moves? Do I need to follow this person? They seem like they got some real badass shit going on right now. So what? Why don't you? Why don't you? You can. But you got to know your role and you got to stick with it. It's like that saying, there's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. I think that's how it goes. I don't know. I haven't heard that in so long. But yeah, you know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. And that's the truth. But you got to know your role. It's okay to be a leader, but it's also okay to be a follower. There's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes you have to be a follower to become a leader. Because how else are you going to learn? Experience is the best teacher. And sometimes learning from other people's experience is the best way. It just is. Because sometimes experience kills you. I don't know who needs to hear this. I don't. But I hope it reaches the right person. I hope that it speaks to the right person. I hope that the right person realizes that if the place and the people or the habits that broke you are still in your daily life, that you're not going to heal. You won't. You're not going to heal. You can't. Not really. You can get better, but you'll never truly move on because it's still there. You got to get distance. You got to get quiet with yourself. You got to be in a place that you can hear your own thoughts so that you know which voice is yours again. Because it's very important when you're trying to heal. And if you don't, you're probably going to stay broken. You're probably going to stay broken. You're probably going to stay depressed and sad and angry on drugs and alcohol. You're probably going to think you're a piece of shit scumbag the rest of your life. You're probably never going to see your real potential as a person. You're going to do all of this while you're calling it loyalty. But what are you being loyal to? Because it's not just people, it's pain, it's trauma. You're going to hear that word a lot from me, trauma. It's so real. It's part of the human condition. Suffering is part of the human condition. The only difference for some people is that they suffer and they move on, right? They suffer and they move on. It goes back to the mindset switch. It's not a loss. It's a lesson. It's not a loss, it's a lesson. You got to flip that switch. You got to get distance. That's where you'll find it. Because, like I said, man, suffering is part of the human condition. It's part of the human condition. It's always going to be here. There's going to be motherfuckers that sit there and wallow in it for their whole lives and just stay sad, depressed, lonely motherfuckers their whole lives. Or they're going to suffer. They're going to use that suffering to garner strength in themselves, to move on from that suffering and see the suffering for what it was, a lesson, so they can be a stronger person. And they're going to suffer again. Then they're going to suffer again. And once again, they have a choice. They can learn from that suffering and move on from it, or they can stay there in it. Life is always going to have suffering. It's, it's part of the human condition, man. It's the human condition. Because this world has just as much, if not more, pain than it does happiness. It has just as much rage as it does joy. The yin and the yang is the duality of the world. You can't have one without the other. There's that saying, beauty is pain. So get distance, man. Get quiet with yourself. Because if you can do that, you can find the switch. If you haven't found it already, turning your losses into lessons. Get distance, get quiet with yourself so you know which voice is yours. Because chances are you got a lot. But more than anything, stop trying to heal in the places that are hurting you. Why are you putting yourself through that? Stop that. You deserve better. We deserve better.